Well, hello, I'm Cosmic Jack. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We have a big week ahead as Venus and Mercury are retrograde in Aries, and they will both transit back into Pisces. We have the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, and we have Neptune stationing and moving into Aries. So there is a lot happening. This is a kind of a doozy of a week, and I feel like there is going to be massive change and transformation and shifts happening this week. Like, truly, like life-changing shifts are going to be happening this week. And it's a lot likely like things that maybe take you by surprise and could be all of a sudden like out of nowhere type energy. And this could be gifts dropping in, blessings manifesting. This could be a breakup out of nowhere, losing a job out of nowhere. I know I've talked to some people who have had some career shakeups over the past 2 weeks, because we had that lunar eclipse in Virgo 2 weeks ago. Actually, it was like a week ago now. We're in the midway point. And when we're dealing with the South Node and with Virgo, they both really deal with clearing and closing things out, and eclipses have to do with that in general also. And Pisces also has to do with this. Pisces is about release. It is about surrender. It is about letting go. It is closing and clearing things out so that things can come to manifestation and fruition. And so really the big transit that we have been under all of March is Neptune finishing out at the last degree of the zodiac, at the 29th degree of Pisces. And Neptune, of course, is the ruler of Pisces. And Neptune at the 29th degree of the zodiac, like, remember, the zodiac, the cycle starts at 0 degrees Aries, right? So 29 Pisces is the last degree of the zodiac. So with Neptune, the planet that dissolves and clears and surrenders and delusionifies, I don't even know, like just picture a tsunami, like wiping things clear. That is Neptune at the 29th degree of Pisces, right? How many times can I say 29? But like, I am emphasizing this so strong because it's like, it is the old is coming to die. And if it hasn't already died, I mean like old versions of you, old patterns, old beliefs, bad habits, things out of alignment, people, places, relationships, living situations. I don't know what like these hairs are doing, but it's just like something within you has to die. It has to clear. It has to be released so that new things can be reborn. And so I'm sure you already know like what those things have been coming up that you've had to surrender. For me, it's been a lot of beliefs. And that has been a very physical process, right? Because that is really what Virgo and Pisces, that access is about, right? It is about your physical body. It is about your immune system. It is about your health, your wellness. And, your subconscious is stored within your body. And so your beliefs are stored within the body. Your patterns are stored within your body. Your nervous system is so important when it comes to stretching and expanding and receiving and manifesting the life that you want. You can't override your nervous system's responses, right? You have to learn how to work with the nervous system because the nervous system is always wired for survival and for safety. And so in order to really welcome in the new and welcome in your expansion, you really have to learn to work with the body. And so there has been so much somatic releases happening. And, that's why it's so important to take care of your body, especially the next 18 months of this South Node in Virgo. So important to take care of your body and just trust your body, like knows how to release these things and really just give extra rest if it needs to, extra attention, extra massages, extra sauna time, extra cold plunge time, like whatever your body is telling you. Like I've just been eating the most food, right? And really just cleansing and crying and releasing things because that's your body's natural way of releasing things. I actually learned this from Bashar. He was talking about how beliefs have is a chemical compound. And so crying actually helps break down the beliefs. and the dismantling of the belief, because it actually releases the chemical compound of the belief. So if you're crying on releasing a lot, it's because so your brain can actually form new neural pathways. And so just allow this process, allow your body to take, like, to do what it's got to do in order to fully release this past, because you cannot actually be the same person that you were stepping into this new reality. And really that's what this past 2 years has been about, of this Aries Libra axis, this eclipse cycle we've been in. So I'm sure you can think back to March 2023, like what was prevalent, what was prominent, what was happening in your life. This is when Saturn first entered Pisces. This is when Pluto first entered Aquarius. This is when we were getting out of Mars retrograde shadow. And this is also when the North Node in Aries, we had that first kind of eclipse energy. And so we've been on this 2-year cycle of change and transition into more of an Aries energy. We had, so this eclipse that we're having on March 29th at 9 degrees of Aries. This is the third and final new moon solar eclipse in Aries that we're having. So you can look back, April 20th, 2023, we had a new moon solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Aries. Last April, of course, it's when the total solar eclipse, we all put our like freaking goggles on and looked at the moon in the middle of the day. Right, that was happening at 19 degrees of Aries. That eclipse was a conjunct Chiron. And of course now, March 29th, we're having this eclipse in Aries. So this is the third and final one. And so you can think back to those themes and like what has been happening around the Aries Libra axis, especially in Aries, right? Because that's where the North Node has been. And so we've been having to develop our self-concept. We've been needing to develop our identity, our self-interest, our boundaries, our assertion energy, our action energy, our confidence, our courage, our chutzpah, our go-getter energy, how the ways in which we like put our head down and go for things, right? The ram. How we initiate, right? How we instigate things, how we just pick up our life and move things forward. And really it's about our having constructive self-interest as well, because Aries is me. It's me, right? And we don't want to like come to it from a place of selfishness, right? But the best relationships come when each person is a sovereign, independent individual, and they can meet their own needs, and they're not self-reliant or needy, or need someone else to feel any sort of way or complete them. And that really is what we've had to work to do and understand, is just having personal sovereignty, right? Having power of the individual, and really changing how you see, view, and value yourself. Because I always say Aries doesn't have like limiting beliefs around itself, because it doesn't, there's nothing comes after me, you know what I mean? It's like if you didn't have like all of the stories from your past, what would you just take action and do? Because Aries represents infancy, right? You're not born with like all of these stories and all of these limiting beliefs. It just is like, all right, I'm just gonna try and figure this thing out. And that's really the identity of Aries. It's just like, who were you when you were born? And it's really getting back to that kind of infancy, independent energy of like taking action, moving forward, and figuring it out as you go. Like, the newborn isn't too concerned with everyone else. It's just like trying to get its needs met and survive and move things along. But it doesn't have all these stories wrapped up on why it can't do something, right? It's just like, I'm gonna take action and then figure it out afterwards. And Aries also has really strong boundaries, and that is something that most people, I feel like we could all have better boundaries. And it's learning how to really be in kind of copacetic relationships. And the relationships that I'm around, that I see that are thriving, it is when there's two sovereign, independent, boundaried individuals coming into a relationship, right? And that is what the Aries Libra axis is all about. It is about finding balance and justice and harmony and peace in relationship, but not from a place of codependency, people pleasing, overriding your own needs, needing something from someone else, needing the other person to make you feel safe or secure, and really like counter like we're having to release all of those insecure or avoidant attachments, right? Because when you are secure within yourself and you know how to meet your own needs and you know who you are and you're independent and you're self-driven and you're self-focused and you got yourself and you have your own back and you have high boundaries, or I should say high standards and strong boundaries, like you are gonna, I promise, attract a healthy, thriving relationship. And that is a relationship with everything, right? That is a relationship with yourself, with a romantic partner, with your best friend, with your job, with your boss, with money. And so when you can really learn to cater and take care of yourself and really see yourself from this higher lens and this higher viewpoint, and you trust yourself to have your own back, and you trust yourself to navigate challenges, and you trust yourself that you got it, like no matter what happens, you got you, you're your own best friend. Life will meet and mirror you in magical, profound ways. And so really any of these past ways of operating, of behaving, of not seeing yourself in your highest potential, right? Like all of that has to be released. Any limiting beliefs, any attachments, any codependent energies, anything where we're like reliant on other people outside of ourselves, like all of that energy has to be surrendered. And it's really like, I saw this post from David Guillaume, like right before I went to come on and record this. And he was basically talking about how it's not like when I'm talking about relationships, because we're under a lot of, I'm talking about relationships specifically because we're under so much relationship energy right now. But he was just like, what actually has to be released? You don't actually need closure, right? In relationship, you actually just need to release the part of you that was in alignment with that attachment. And because closure, we don't actually need a discussion. We don't need a reason. We don't need to know why. We only just need to release the version of ourselves that had attachment to that lesson. And we have to release that version of ourselves in order to welcome in the new energy. And we're under so much relationship energy. One, because eclipses are about relationships in general. We have Venus retrograde. Venus was just gazimi with the sun yesterday over the weekend. And it was shining a light on this Aries energy, your identity, your boundaries, your confidence, your level of conviction within yourself, how you see yourself, your self-concept, right? You can see someone's self-concept just by looking at the person they're in relationship with, right? I'm like, well, I can see how much that woman values herself based on how her partner treats her, you know? Like that's the energy. And so that's what we're having to review. And so all of these past relationships are only coming up to show us who we used to be so that we can integrate a new identity and be someone else and raise our standards, raise our bar, raise our boundaries for the person that you're becoming. Because when you're her, when you're that girl, when you're that bitch, when you're that supermodel energy, you have confidence. You have conviction in who you are. You're not going to like chase little fucking D-bags and losers because you're a fucking supermodel. And you have high self-concept and you really value yourself. You value your beauty. You have like, you just actually have a really high thermostat for self-love, right? And it's like really just being that light pole that everything attracts into you. You're not going actually and wasting your energy going to try and find stuff. Like things come to you. That's just the supermodel energy, baby. And so how are you showing up? What's the lens in which you're showing up to the world? How are you approaching life? How are you approaching relationships? Like, do you know you're a fucking catch? You know what I mean? It's that kind of energy. And so past relationships, not that they might come back in, but you maybe have been thinking about past people, right? I know I've been thinking a lot about past people and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. But it's really allowed me to see how much I've grown, right, in the past 2 years with this Aries energy, what we've been moving through. I'm so much more Aries than I used to be. I mean, I'm a triple Libra, so the South Node moving through Libra was really confronting for me. And so it's like, how have you learned to actually like take action? How have you learned to like reprioritize yourself? How you viewed yourself shifted, right? Have you learned to implement boundaries, right? Have you raised your level? Because we need to have raised our level like immensely the last 2 years, and really like anchored in new levels of power. Because in getting reacquainted with your masculine in a healthy, sovereign way, because your masculine, Mars, is the ruler of Aries. And so we've just had a masculine review too with Mars retrograde. And so it's like, how is your inner king showing up and protecting and providing for your inner queen? Because so many people, right, they aren't good to their queen. I'll just say that. Why are you letting any Joe Schmo into your fucking castle? You know, like, I let like two people, like only like two people have ever come over to my apartment, right? I'm like, I don't want people in my house. I don't want people coming over. And I mean like women, like they're not even like men. They're like, I've only had like two women like allowed into my apartment, you know? Because it's like, I have strong boundaries around who's allowed into my home. And obviously like if that, you know, that's maybe extreme, but it's like that, it's showing the energy of like, no, like you have to, I actually have to have value and trust and like, you know, time and energy and love poured into each other. Like, you know, for me to trust you, to let you into the queendom, you know? And so many people also like, how are you talking to your inner queen? What is your inner dialogue like? Like, how are you treating your inner queen? Are you telling her she's not valuable and she's not deserving of the things that she wants, right? How are you taking care of your inner child? How are you parenting your inner child? We've had to like really rework and reconfigure things like that. And so, because your inner king is so important to making sure that your feminine feels safe, secure, supported, nurtured, tended to, prioritized, loved, accepted, so that your feminine can really radiate and shine. And not allowing your inner needy 5-year-old to run your relationships. Because I promise you, if your inner 5-year-old is running your relationships, you're not going to be attracting in the level of partner that you want. You want an emotionally mature partner, and you gotta reconcile that with your inner man. It's like, you know, you gotta have your inner masculine like better take care of your inner child. And really check like I don't think this is like talked about enough. Like your inner man has to like check yourself. Like if you're someone who I'll just give this example because I was overeating over the weekend, and I had to like then anchor in my masculine to check myself and be like, no, we're actually gonna stop eating now. You know, like, and my inner child wanted some fucking chips at like 10 o'clock last night, and I was just like, no, we're done. We've binged all day. We didn't like really binge. We got just kind of like overeat a little, you know. But I was just like, no, like absolutely not. Like that's not what we're doing right now, you know. And it's like you actually have to like check in with your masculine and have that willpower with yourself, because I knew eating chips at 10 o'clock last night wasn't gonna make me happy today, you know. So was gonna be happy in the moment, and then the moment was gone, and I was gonna be, right? And so you actually need your inner masculine to check your inner child, to check the feminine, and really just not allow your needy inner 5-year-old to ruin your life, you know? So it's really learning how to get your own needs met. If you don't know how to do this, definitely book a session. You can figure it out within your chart in 2 seconds. So really just learning to give and provide for yourself first, and really raise your self-value, raise your standards, raise your level of living, raise your boundaries, for yourself. So have you done that the last 2 years? Because this is a major checkpoint this week, and the universe is showing you what is in and out of alignment. And then when Neptune moves into Aries on March 30th, which is going to be wild, it's like anything that's not solid is going to dissolve over the course of that Neptune and Aries transit. It's going to be an entirely different world when Neptune moves into Aries. It's going to be really interesting to see. We've been moving through Neptune and Pisces since 2011. So as you can imagine, a lot of things have shifted since 2011. Neptune moving through Pisces, it has brought spirituality mainstream. It has changed media. It has changed social media. Like social media has become influential. Influencers have become influential. You can just really look at the Pisces part of your chart and what have been the themes of Neptune and Pisces, because that is coming to a close. And like that old way of operating and being and seeing and viewing yourself is coming to a finish. So wrap up those loose ends with yourself this week, because you do not want to be taking it into your new life, your new identity, your new reality. And it's if Venus and Mercury and Aries aren't already showing you like what those things are, book a session because we can get some clarity on what's happening. Because I love how the universe just like tees us up with this stuff, right? They're like, we are having with this last eclipse in Aries, we are supporting you with both Mercury and Venus retrograde in Aries to show you where you need to integrate deeper this Aries energy. And then we have this eclipse that's going to show you. It's likely going to be within relationships, because when this eclipse does happen, Venus will have retrograded back into Pisces. She will be with Neptune. She will be with the North Node. She will be with Saturn. And the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, is in Cancer, still in its shadow. It'll be trine Saturn. And so it's like Saturn is really about, being serious, being an adult. It is like a gut check, like a gut check time. And Saturn is like checking you, right? Mars in Cancer is like, can have you being like really emotional. So watch your fiery responses, right? When you are reactive, you are operating from your emotions. And the thing that keeps you from what you want is your emotional reactivity. And that's what needs to be cleansed. That's what needs to be purged. That's what needs to be released. Because if you want to be a powerful manifester, you actually just have to be grounded. You have to be open. You got to have your mindset good. You have to be internally a match for what you want. And you have to stop your impulsive and reactive behavior. And so this is really going to be kind of like this like explosion of energies this week. And I say explosion too, like I pulled some cards. Of course, the Tower flew out, and the Two of Cups, right? Of course, we're dealing with relationships. This could also just be you and your higher self, right? There has to be some sort of shift. Maybe your higher self is pushing you into behaving and being in a different way. You have to think different things. You have to take different actions. Your being has to be different, right? This is what I like always say with like in entrepreneurship, right? It's like why sometimes copying someone else's business model doesn't always work, because it's about the consciousness of the founder, the consciousness of the person operating the business, your beingness. Like who are you being? Who you be is what you have. Your behaviors dictate your manifestations. And so it's like, what is your internal energy projecting out into the world? That's what this eclipse, this Neptune energy, this Pisces energy, this eclipse energy, all these retrogrades, it's like it's cleansing and clearing and purging who you used to be so that you can change timelines and be in alignment with your higher self. So really everything that is falling out right now is a good thing, because it's showing you where you settled. And confirmation burp. And it's like, who the fuck wants to settle? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't respect subtle energy. It's like wimpy energy, right? And I can look back at times when I have contracted and I have constricted, and things always get worse. When I pull my energy back and I get shy, or my nervous system like contracts and I go eat, right? Like clench instead of expand, instead of like open deeper, things always get worse. Whenever I expand, whenever I choose to move, even though I'm scared, even though there's fear, I'm always rewarded. And so that's kind of the energy, and the universe is just kind of smacking you in the face this week, being like, we've been showing you for 2 years, and now this is the final countdown. It's the final lesson, and it's everything that has to be released is not serving you. And so see everything that's happening as a blessing, as a good sign, because it's not in alignment with where you're going. And so when you can just release it and let it go, you can just naturally raise your vibration, right? And so you have to let go of the part of you that was an attachment with that person, was an attachment with, that old pattern, that old way of operating, that consciousness. And it's like you actually just have to raise your consciousness now and really be congruent with the person of your dreams, congruent with your higher self. And, find expanders who are living the life that you want to live. And then go get specific, what are the qualities that they have? How do they show up? How do they act? How do they operate? What are their daily routines? What are their rituals? And how do they think and see themselves, right? People who get what they want have high self-concept, right? They have high self-value. And it's like, the beliefs are half the battle, honestly, and your beingness is half the battle. Everything is energy first. We live in an energy first reality, and action doesn't really, action matters. Of course, it's important to get the momentum, get the movement going, but it's like you're so much better off like getting your energy aligned first and then moving, so you don't have to like waste your own time. And you know, again, these energies just might need to be released from your physical body because, again, your physical body is so important in manifestation. And it's like whatever you're emanating, whatever you're embodying, whatever you're holding is what is reverberating out and is getting reflected back in your 3D. So cleanse, purge, let it go, allow the universe to show you what's happening, because there is a recalibration energy happening. Four of Cups is like the marriage card. It is the happy card. It was the celebration card. And so things are just going to need to be rebalanced within your relationships, because look at this energy, right? It's like those are like two Libra scales, basically, right? It is you and me. It is myself and someone else. And those things need to be balanced. And so there's something that needs to be shaken out so things can be rebalanced. And again, I think it's a very internal thing, because we do have the moon card, which of course eclipses have to do with the moon, and whenever the moon is involved, your body's involved. And so it's like these energies, you're having to like reestablish your inner king and queen energy internally, so that what you want can be mirrored and matched to you in return. Confirmation. This is something that I've really mastered with North Node and Aries, South Node and Libra the last 2 years, because my inner king and queen are very different now. And so if you want help rebalancing that internally so that you can attract a masculine man, or, you know, I want to say like ease off of the stress, ease off of the doing, like have like the easier way of doing it, being in your feminine. Like being in the feminine is 100 times easier than being in your masculine as a woman. It's how your body is naturally wired and programmed. But that just takes the deconditioning of the having to do, the having to force, the having to control, the having to overwork, having to hustle, having to overthink. None of that shit is feminine. So if you want life to be more flowy, more happy, more easeful, more pleasurable, more playful, you got to get in your feminine. So if you want support with that, you can book a session. You can take my Venetian Bitch container. But there's like this big recalibration energy that is happening this week. Mercury and Venus will retrograde into Pisces this week. Again, illuminating the subconscious. Pisces is highly subconscious. It is highly spiritual. And it's really, the veil is going to be very, very thin. And so use these illuminations, use these reflections, use like the insight and the ideas and the inspiration and the downloads that come through to really align you. I wouldn't expect to have clarity like in this week, like wait until April when things start to like shift, because then you'll like know what to do. The universe is going to make the decisions for you this week and really reveal a lot. I think a lot will be revealed, but I think it's going to be a fun, like big revelations can be coming through, big manifestations, big receivership. Like, don't be scared of the eclipses. Like, I love eclipse season, but it is important to stay grounded during this time and not be, again, emotionally reactive, because I think a lot of people's like energies, I love to stay out of the gym actually when eclipses are happening, because I can always tell that people are feeling it, because people are a lot more reactive and spicy and hot. So sometimes too, like I like to avoid like the public places during this time, because it's like, you never know. The animals go and hide during eclipses, but it also is an opportunity for the universe to collide you with things. So just trust what's coming through, trust your connection, trust where you are guided, because the universe could collide you with the love of your life this week, you know? I've met many people during Venus retrogrades, so don't think that Venus retrogrades or eclipses is a time where you can't meet someone, because you absolutely can. But you know, just heed the lessons, heed what you have to release, and big culminations happening this week. So I promise. And probably, like, I can't even remember March 1st. I was thinking about that this week when Venus started stationed retrograde. Like, I remember like a thing that happened, but I'm like, so much has happened in the last 3 weeks. Like, I can't. Like, so many things have happened in the last 3 weeks. So much can happen so fast, right? 1 second you don't know someone, and the next minute you're like, I can't imagine never not knowing you, right? Like, that's how fast things can shift. And you don't know someone, and then you collide with them and you know them for the rest of your life. So that's how fast things can move. And just trust, surrender, let it go, because even in like 1 week's time, everything is going to be different. So love you lots. Definitely book a session with me if you want support working through this energy, because moving through the rest of the year, there's basically an outer planet shifting like every month, which is crazy. So because we have Neptune moving into Aries, and we have Pluto retrograde, Saturn moving into Aries, then we have Jupiter moving into Cancer, then we have Uranus moving into Gemini, and that is like takes us to July. And there's just lots of things happening the rest of the year. So definitely book a session. You can take my courses, you can work one-on-one with me. I'll post all of that. Take my Astro 101 course too if you want to dive deeper into learning the foundations of astrology and the birth chart. I'll post all of that in the show notes, but have a beautiful week and see you on the next one.